Philippine business and labor leaders call on President Marcos to firmly and fearlessly lead from the front in confronting what they call the country's largest and most brazen corruption scandal. With us now for more is Butch Guerrero, Governor of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines and Director of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good seeing you again, Butch. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to all your viewers.
So what led the business groups and labor groups to come out with this joint letter to the president? Was there a specific trigger or triggers?
Actually, the business group have released several anti-corruption statements already. However, the labor groups have none. And they called us and they requested that we release a joint statement between labor leaders, labor groups, and the business community. And after meeting several times, we forged an agreement that we would release with what is happening in this kind of brazen corruption that besiege our country right now.
What was the key concern of the labor leaders to come and want a joint press statement right now with the business leaders?
The main cause is that they are being pressured by their members because collectively the trade union groups and the labor, which we call the labor groups, have a lot of members in thousands and hundreds of thousands. And a lot of questions are being delivered to them that they have not released any statement yet. And that urged them to call the business community, the business leaders, as most of us sit on the National Tripartite Industrial Peace Council. And we decided to release a common statement for once that business and labor would agree. Most of the time we don't we disagree and we don't see to eye. But in this case, these are the very, very rare times that we agree, Kathy.
Indeed, that's what I was getting to. You normally don't agree, so this joint statement is very significant. So could you point out to us exactly what points made you agree to release a joint statement this round?
Well, number one, our employees, which earns the minimum wage, and their members who also earns the minimum wage, which represents around 5 million of the working population out of the 49 million 49 million total working population is a significant part of the country. And they don't have any chance to fight this corruption because automatically taxes are withheld from them, and the business community is also being withheld taxes, that we are obligated to pay taxes. And we want the taxes that we worked hard for, both groups, labor and business, to put into good use. And with this brazen in the Senate announcements, investigations, we were all surprised. And in the previous interview, I used the word aghast. And in this case, it's affecting the business community because several months back, before this started in September, we were receiving a lot of visitors interested to invest in the Philippines. And now, nobody's visiting us. And we are really alarmed. And the dollar continues to increase versus the Philippine peso. And investments are waning. And there is now a mass movement on November 30 that seeks to have several objectives that might disrupt government. And we don't agree to these disruptions, and it would affect business. And so labor as well would affect their our work because we are under the presumption that if there is any disruption, people would stop earning on both sides, business and labor.
Let me pick up on the investors. As you mentioned, they've stopped coming. What sort of conversations have you had with those who have pulled back and decided not to invest or come around and visit this time around? What are their concerns?
Well, they did not set any concern to us. They just stopped coming in, they just stopped scheduling visits to the country without any reasons. But we all know what the reason is.
If disruption is so much of a concern because business would prefer continuity, what then are you hoping would be the best outcome, if not a disruption on November 30th?
The best outcome would, if there is a bold move from government, that this thing is serious and we're demanding that there would be reforms in the budget process, reforms in the way we're handling this through the ICI, and actually in the previous releases that we have, prosecutions. I know it's the palace said that you have to go through the due process, but I think not all understand what due process is, and they're very what do you call this, Kathy? They're very impatient that nothing is happening and nothing is being well being done on the prosecution side.
Well, let's listen to that exactly what you said, Claire Castro said, and she said it in the vernacular. Maybe there could be more understanding because Malacanang has appealed for patience amid all these criticisms. Let's listen to this.
Sa mga naiinit, ang pamahalaan po ay nasa tamang pagkilos na naaayon sa batas. Nagmamadali, yes, minamadali lahat, pero hindi natin mamamadali ang lahat, pero magva-violate tayo ng batas at ng human rights.
Are you willing to give the government some slack?
Definitely, definitely. But it's our members and the workers. That's why labor and business are now agreeing that we need to speed up things on what is happening at the national level. I agree with the palace that there has to be due process, and we respect that. But in this case, there are a lot of clamor from our members and from the workers that the due process being said is not as fast as we were expecting to happen.
Well, it's a long laundry list that you're demanding from the president, and I wanted to show our viewers and streamers here exactly what you're asking for. A repetition of the first, in the first discussion we had when you described as aghast the situation we face. But which one among them is of utmost priority?
Well, the utmost priority is to say to the people, especially our members and the labor groups, that something is happening. There would be milestones or bold steps that would happen, or prosecutions, or significant moves in the judicial system, because we all know that the people involved have the cash, have the right to employ very good lawyers, and most of them are in power. So what we are afraid of, what they're telling us, is that all might be set free, all would be acquitted, and life goes on. And if this goes on, we've discussed that the value system of our country might be in jeopardy, and this might affect not only us, but the next generation that would take over. Kathy?
Just as a final point, Butch, what's in front of us right now is the 2026 national budget. And that's something where we could probably help and make a change for if you're calling for changes and reforms. What do you all so far make of the budget, from the National Expenditure Plan to the General Appropriations Bill as it now gets deliberated in the Senate?
We're talking about insertions, because if you're approving a budget in the private sector, everything is above board. But however, once the budget is approved and once it passes through the bicameral process, they now start inserting expenses into the budget. And if it's a few millions of pesos, that's okay. But they're inserting billions and billions. So we are, this is not normally done in any private business. Everything is above board. So if you really want to insert, why don't you insert it before the budget process and not after? So that's what the business community is expecting. And second, we need to monitor whatever these projects are so that we would see if they're being carried out or not. Just like in the private sector, we properly monitor the projection of our expenses and the budgets on hand.
All right, a lot more challenges to conquer there. Butch Guerrero, thank you so much for the update. I much appreciate it from ECOP and PCCI.